All right, hell yeah. We're running out of daylight, but I want to go over all my fiberglass paddles. So I'm just going to paddle towards you. See how it like fluttered? Yeah, so that's the thing, is that I don't know if it's just the width or it's actually the weight, you know what I mean? Because like any sort of vibration is a combination of like weight and its aerodynamics, you know what I mean? This is way thinner, but it's just super slicey, and its light is all get out. So what I'm going to try to do is cut this paddle blade down so it's narrower, because even this, you know what I mean? This just feels like throwing in a block of concrete, you know what I mean? Oh, I kind of got it to wobble there just a little bit. So I think, so this really helps me out, because I think most all the wobble comes from the width of the paddle. You know what I mean? When I throw it in, it does kind of want to shudder back and forth. So even with this one, yeah, I'm getting it to do that. But fiberglass, wide fiberglass paddle. Holy Toledo! They just, you can get more. I'm sure you can get more power out of them because they're strong and light, and so everything that you're putting into, you know, power-wise goes right to the blade face, right to the water. But yes, I can't get this paddle full strength without fluttering. So, like I said, this video is going to be short. Let's throw in my let's get the other fiberglass paddle out here. All right, hell yeah. So this is the Warner Bandit. You know what I mean? And it's actually better. It's a better shaft than this traditional. This is just the Warner Big Stick. But the shaft, I don't know. It's a little bit oval your way. So you know that kind of feels better. You know, on your fingers it feels like a narrow paddle blade. But even when rafting, when I was rafting and swimming, this thing would get kicked out of my hand because holding on to this with one hand is way more difficult than the tight grip you can get on, you know, just a narrow shafted paddle. And maybe that's just me, and more so this grip up here is just, I don't like how big it is, and maybe that's just something to get used to. But you know, just having this small grip, you know, I can just feather this paddle just kind of everywhere I want. It's more like a pencil, where this is, you know what I mean? I guess if you're just driving for power, yeah, that's just my personal preference. All right, so let's get this going. And this one does flutter. It flutters just a lot. So here we go. All right, so there I'm kind of making it intentionally flutter. That first one I really wasn't, but then those last two, heck yeah. So we'll do that again. Well, let's go full string and see if I can keep that from vibrating. All right, here we go. And no, I can't. And I think one of the aspects is when I'm paddling, I'm always, I think this is the case. I'm not just taking a paddle stroke over here and keeping it directly in line with anything. I usually take a stroke and then it does change direction along its path. And I think that's where this paddle stroke's getting the most messed up. It would be like if you were shaving and, you know, trying to go down and then across at the same time. That's what I do with R1 rafting. Is, you know, I'm constantly taking the stroke and then adjusting it. And with these fiberglass paddle blades, anytime I'm doing that, the blade just flutters. And a couple of those I wasn't over-exaggerating. Probably the last couple I wanted to over-exaggerate that. All right, let's just do it. Let's paddle full strength this one back and forth. All right, hell yeah. Now I'm not gonna make this too fair. I'm just gonna go for it. But now we use this. Now we'll use this blade. Kind of take a breath for a second, and then we'll finish it up with this one and see what's. You know, I mean, I already kind of know what my preference is. All right, those last couple, I kind of did some kind of draw strokes to keep the paddle blade in the frame. Well, let's do it. Let's just, you know what I mean, do it this one. I'm sure this one's slower. I just like the feel of it. All right, here we go. Alright, yeah, so I feel like it's slower, it's heavier, more drag, but it's like a mountain bike, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is it going to be faster to use a mountain bike down a downhill? Hell yeah. And so is a whitewater area, you know what I mean, rapid river, is that going to be like a downhill course where you do want, you know, a mountain bike? Or do you want... obviously, if these didn't flutter and they were a little bit narrower, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to trim them down. Let me throw some more time on the clock. Alright, hell yeah. Now this paddle is 6 inches too tall, and I don't want to buy another one, you know what I mean, because I really don't use it. But this thing is so heavy, and it's got a big blade, but those two things counteract each other. Because if I throw this back, you know what I mean, I'm already having mass times velocity. And when I do catch, that's gonna power through. It's gonna be like a semi-truck, you know what I mean? We don't need to get graphic, but just, you know, hitting something lighter. You know, it's gonna plow through whatever. Let's say it just hit like a sand, you know what I mean, a big sand pile out on the freeway. Anyway, so that's nature. All right, enough talk. Let's do the same test with this one. Here we go. Alright, hell yeah. Now, especially for getting more strength R1 rafting, I love this. This paddle feels heavy, it feels solid, you know what I mean? This paddle being super light, these fiberglass paddles, they also do feel heavy. They feel the same resistance on the water, probably just because of the larger blade. But there is no mass, there's no velocity of the actual paddle, you know what I mean, keeping this. So the second I stop paddling, this paddle's so light, it's going to stop. You know what I mean? But physics would say that if this paddle gets up to motion, it just stays going. And so I'll have to ask my brother. He's a little bit smarter than me. See what his thoughts on the subject are. But hell yeah, you can't take a road bike to a mountain bike race, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So, but the big aspect of this paddle, it's too much. Like I can't. This thing feels like this. When I was on the Grand Canyon, this with my boat fully loaded, like 200 pounds of gear. That's what this paddle feels like when my boat's empty, just because it gets too much purchase. So these are the two paddles in question that I'm going to start trimming down, and just because I never use them, I've had them for 5+ years, and I just don't. They flutter, so it's just not It would be like if you had a kayak paddle, and this might be a thread for kayakers. Be like, hey, have you ever bought a kayak paddle where it's too slicey? Every paddle stroke, you know what I mean? It just slices you off, because that's what happened. This thing is getting speed wobbled, yeah, it gets speed wobble so easy. So kind of the elements that I'm going to be working on is shaving it narrow, maybe also building up the edges, because this paddle is noticeably more than, this is almost 3/16 of an inch. It's more than 1/8 of an inch. Where this paddle blade right here, this is a 1/16 of an inch. So that physical parameter really comes into play of, you know what I mean? It's such a sharp object in the river. For aerodynamics, this thing, you know, is a sail, where this thing can actually let water go around it, and that does hold it into place. There's no position, like even in slicey positions, that this thing is going to get out of kilter. All right, but this one for sure. So, you know, since I came out here to do this video, if I got any more light left, we're gonna run through the whole paddle array again, and this time it might not be a race, but just to experiment with what strokes I do like. All right, let's get some more time on the clocks. All right, hell yeah, here we go. So I like this paddle. It feels way more in control. And this is also 58 inches. This one is 2 inches shorter than this. Maybe 57. And I think if I was in a race, I would want a shorter paddle stroke. A shorter paddle. Since I brought that up, here's the longest. This is 66 inches. Almost 9 inches longer. Yes, if I can't lean forward. That's the thing. I can't lean forward and then insert my paddle vertical. Because the second I lean forward, it's like reaching for the ceiling. So I can stay up tall. I keep this paddle right in here. And that's going to be a very powerful stroke. It's more controlled, I would say. More controlled. Alright, let's do those. Like how good a try this is. I would say that is weaker, because this one, because of the lighter stroke, I'm able to instantly get my paddle in position and then put the energy in. So that is a plus for a thin paddle. Using that slice to your advantage, I'm able to get it in, so a high cadence and still a strong fry. So let's show you that one more time. So I just get my paddle in position. Just so much faster. Alright, let's compare that to this paddle. Same thing. So yeah, there's just less paddle blades, so I can do that same thing and get this one in. So even this is real heavy. If I trim this paddle blade down, I think I would be able to get it in, but actually it's just the swing weight. Because this is so much heavier, there's just no way to do this high cadence. Where this one, when you just pop it, you get it in position. So that's fascinating. So that is a tally for a fiberglass paddle. If you're going in between strokes, this will be way faster. compared to, it's just the swing weight of the paddle. But that is what I'm curious, is that swing weight, can you use that to your advantage? The second that paddle does plant in the water, does it become effective because you got mass times velocity? All right, we're gonna do the same thing with this. All right, no, so fiberglass is king for slicing in position, getting your paddle exactly where you want it to be. And so, so at the end of the day, I just have a paddle that has speed wobble, and I don't want to say, oh, it's me, and I gotta control the paddle, you know, and just have it not slice back and forth. And maybe that will happen. I'll just be like, no, yeah, these are the positions that I can do it. There was one wobble there, you know what I mean? So that was only one wobble out of a few. Let's get some speed on this thing. So forcefully giving it kind of more weight, that definitely took a lot of the speed wobble away. There's one wobble though. Okay, so yeah, giving this paddle hell, maybe I can get rid of the speed wobble. And hopefully, if I trim it down, especially, I don't know, you know what I mean, but definitely just trimming it down. A friend that I paddle with, he just has one of these that's just so beaten up along the rocks that it literally is just a ½ inch thinner on both sides. All right, let's throw some more time on the clock and see if we want to do any more paddling. All right, hell yeah, I think I'm done. I gotta get on with my evening. So thanks for joining me. And hell yeah, we have fiberglass and then a lot of different paddles. If I ever get my hands on like an NRS, I'll definitely give it a review. And I'm getting better at being like, hey, even if, because this is not my preference, I would not recommend this to me, but I still own it, so you might as well make lemonade out of lemons. Let's find a way to make this better. And the other element, trim it down. Also, I can add weight to it. This paddle is so lightweight, you know what I mean? It's too lightweight. I mean, this thing's almost like, it's not double, but it gets close. You know what I mean? This is double, and I'm just fine with it. So we can experiment, you know what I mean, with weighting, you know what I mean, some lead stickers, you know, especially near the, because then you can, same aerodynamics maybe, and then get some weight behind that blade. And that could take care of those wobbles, because this blade is just so lightweight. Anyway, all right, I gotta be done. Thanks for joining me. Guess what? That's the video.